You could be moving forward in your life and still be running from it. So let me paint the scene. Two people, same field, same hours, similar results. From the outside, they look identical, both disciplined, both impressive, both driven. But inside, they're living two very different experiences. One is being pulled forward by something they care about. The other is being chased by something they're not trying to feel. That's the distinction we're unpacking today because if you've ever wondered whether your ambition is healthy or whether it's quietly become a way of outrunning yourself, that question deserves a clear, honest answer. The core distinction, the core difference, simply put, is this: healthy ambition moves towards something, compulsive striving moves away from something. One is expansion, the other is escape. Here's the problem though. Culturally, both can look like success. In a world that rewards productivity, achievement is a really effective place to hide. You get promoted, you get praised, you get things done. Nobody asks whether the engine is purpose or panic. Why this is easy to miss, psychologists who study motivation, Edward Deci and Richard Ryan among them, make a useful distinction here. They talk about autonomous motivation and controlled motivation. Autonomous motivation is I want to. It comes from values, curiosity, and meaning. It's the feeling of chosen effort. Controlled motivation is I have to. It comes from internal pressure, shame, or conditional self-worth. It's the feeling of coerced effort, except the one doing the coercing is usually you. Both can produce results. Only one tends to produce a life that actually fits you. Why compulsive running is easy to hide. Here's where it gets subtle. A lot of compulsive striving is socially rewarded. It shows up as overfunctioning, always on availability, the inability to stop optimizing, and the fear of slowing down. Research on perfectionism, especially the work of Gordon Flett and Paul Hewitt, suggests that when your worth feels contingent on performance, you can look extremely high functioning while feeling quite quietly fragile. That's the secret of compulsive striving. From the outside, disciplined. From the inside, hunted. A real-time self-check. So how can you tell which one you're operating from? Not by looking at your calendar, by looking at your interior. A few honest signals. When you hit a goal, do you feel satisfied, even briefly, or just temporarily relieved before the next target appears? When you rest, do you feel restored or guilty and restless like you're doing something wrong? When you imagine this goal taking twice as long as you hoped, do you still want it? Or would your motivation quietly collapse? When something good happens, can you actually let it land, or do you immediately discount it and move the goalposts? And the big one: who would you be if you weren't currently achieving? Does that question feel interesting, or does it feel threatening? If those questions landed somewhere tender, that's not a diagnosis, that's information. So, ambition here is not the problem. Let me say this clearly because it really matters. Ambition is not the problem. Wanting to grow, to build, to matter, to do excellent work, that's one of the most human things there is. The problem isn't drive. The problem is drive fused with fear. So, the quiet story that says, if I stop or fall behind or become ordinary, I won't feel okay. That's not ambition. That's an alarm system wearing ambition as a costume. And the tricky part is that alarm often originally made sense. Maybe it helped you survive a childhood, a career, a hard season. Driving hard is the strategy that worked. But strategies outlived their usefulness. And at some point, the thing that built the life starts to cost the life. What grounded ambition looks like. So, what does a steadier version look like? It includes agency. I choose this. It includes values. This matters to me, not just to my resume. It includes rest as a non negotiable input, not a reward for exhaustion. And it includes enoughness, a baseline sense that you're okay, which means the work doesn't have to rescue you. Research on self determination and self compassion, including Kristin Neff's work on how we relate to ourselves internally, suggests that grounded motivation tends to outlast pressured motivation, especially when it comes to sustainability, creativity, and meaning. In other words, you don't have to choose between being ambitious and being well. You just have to untangle the two things that have been pretending to be the same thing the whole time. So, 4 practical shifts and a few practical moves here. First, separate the goal from the fear. Ask, what do I actually want here? And what am I afraid will happen if I don't get it? Those are 2 different conversations. Have them both. Second, practice stopping on purpose, not collapsing, stopping. 10 minutes of doing nothing without earning it first. If that feels hard, you've just learned something important. Third, notice contingent self-worth when it shows up. The quiet voice saying, you're only valuable if. You don't have to argue with it. Just notice it, name it, and decide not to let it drive. Fourth, redefine progress, not just output, alignment. Are you building a life that's yours or one that keeps you safe from feelings you haven't met yet?